Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Connection. And you know what? I'm here with the real coach. I'm a fake coach. But the real coach, Dave McWhinnie. Dave's a legendary coach, former legendary coach at Toledo Christian. Dave, welcome. Now a CEO and executive at Renewal Windows by Andersen. But let's talk coaching first, your career, because I got to cover it on BCSN many times. And you know, you had a remarkable style with your kids. You were always fair, always honest, had great team discipline, yet the kids felt comfortable playing for you. You know, some coaches have those other things, but the kids aren't that comfortable playing because they're looking over their shoulder, and when's coach pulling me out, and when is he yelling at me? And how did you maintain those things without being that over-the-top guy?
You know, a couple of things. We always wanted to love the kids. I always viewed, even if they were freshman players, if they were varsity players, anybody that was in our program, we wanted them to leave with lasting positive memories. And it's just something that was super important to us. We wanted to kind of build on that. And we wanted them, when they're thinking back on their high school career, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, that they think about it the way that I think about it, my high school career, and how much of an impact it made on me. And we had a lot of fun in the meantime doing it.
Coach, you're a humble guy, but I covered you, and you know, championships, league championships, state playoffs. I mean, your resume is stacked with success. But I would just hazard a guess to say that probably the things that have meant the most to you as a coach is the success your former players have had, not in the wins and losses. You've had plenty of the wins, but their success in life after having been with you. Would that be true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely, you love being invited to weddings and having people call when they have promotions, or even if they need somebody to talk through an issue with.
Yeah.
And you know, I view that. I tell them, you know, when they graduate and the last day, you know, in the tournament, unfortunately we never won a state title, but we made some good tournament runs.
You had some great runs.
But you get done with it and you tell them, hey, if you ever need anything, you can call me anytime. And you know, guys have taken it, you know, done that, and I am always, our door is always open and always will be as long as I'm on the earth. You
know, it's funny that people, I feel somewhat bad for lay folks that don't coach or don't play athletics. I think you can get it in other activities too, like musicals and plays. Steven's a star in musicals. It's probably the same thing going on. But if they haven't experienced being part of a team, coming together, making something successful, it's something you'll never forget. Whether you win the championship or the state title, that's great. That's icing on the cake if you did.
Sure.
But getting there and doing it and the work that goes in, those lessons are indelibly etched on your brain and in your soul, I would say.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a winning locker room, or even a losing locker room where you put everything you can into it.
Yeah.
You know, you get lessons from both of those, and certainly we've experienced both of them, but it is when you've worked at it, and you know, a lot of our groups had been together for 8, 9, 10 years,
right.
And you know, people don't understand over that 10 years, you know, they started in 2nd or 3rd grade and they go through just the bonds that you have. It's special. It's something that only high school sports can give you.
Yeah, and sometimes the people in the stands eating hot dogs and drinking Pepsi, they don't understand that. You know, the finality of, say you've worked so hard to get to the state tournament or have this successful event, and then when it's over, you clean your locker out, and it's over. You know, there's a finality to that, you know?
Yeah, you know, we would say, especially you'd have groups that have been with you for a long time, and it almost felt like you're going through a little bit of a mourning period. And,
yes.
it's something that other coaches, you know, we talk about, but for me, we just cared so deeply that you know, even, you know, some of those things would be 2, 3, 4 months later, and you'd get to summer basketball and it'd start to turn, and then you get focused on your next group. But yeah, it's special. I'm super blessed that I was a part of it for as long as I was.
And Dave, I can imagine you'll never get tired of this. You're going to have this for the rest of your life, and it's well earned and so well deserved because you're so good at what you do. But when the youngster comes up and says, "Hey, coach," you know, you're going to be coach for the rest of your life,
sure.
right? And sometimes you may not even remember the person as well, but you'll figure it out.
Yep.
But that feeling that they look at you and hold you in that regard, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, there's no better honor to me than being called coach. And I view it as, you know, a blessing. I was able to do it as long as I can. You know, maybe someday I'll have an opportunity to do it again. But I count it as a huge blessing to be called coach, and took it very seriously, and still to this day, even though I'm coaching an AAU team, but not coaching high school.
Yeah.
I still want to I just take that stuff very seriously.
And you had a very esoteric experience because you are a coach that got to coach your son.
Yep.
That's really special. And you did it so very well, because what happens, I think, a lot of times when a coach coaches his son, you're either going to be too hard on them, because you want the other kids on the team to say, hey, no favoritism here, and I'm, or you let things go that you wouldn't let go with the other kids. And it's a very difficult line to straddle. You did it so well with your son. What was it like coaching your son?
It was a phenomenal time, and not only my son, but his friends. A lot of those kids had spent the night at our house for years, and one of them just got married last week, and the day he went on his honeymoon, sent me our anniversary was the next day, and sent me an anniversary thing at 5:30 as they're getting ready to go for their honeymoon. But you get those relationships with your son and his friends, and it's just, it was the time of my life. And really, I enjoyed all 20 years, but that time when Cole and his friends were there was special. And we had a lot of great memories, and Cole and I, developed a great relationship through that time.
That's so very neat. This is unfair of me to ask you this, but I'm going to do it anyways, because you had such a legendary basketball coaching career. Can you give me 2 or 3 things that are just such highlights for you you'll never forget in your coaching career at Toledo Christian?
There's a lot of them.
Right. That's why it's an unfair question.
Yeah. There are a lot of special players. Making runs to the regional, with some of those groups. I think through like Ethan Michael's group.
Ethan was a special young man. Yeah, I interviewed him a bunch of times.
And some of the things that happened around his story. He's phenomenal, doing phenomenal as an adult.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with Melvin Thomas, who a couple years ago was murdered, and I miss Melvin like crazy. I'm part of a foundation with him, and we're trying to continue doing his work. But Melvin meant a lot to me, and that's not a great moment, but it's one of those things where we want to carry on.
Yes.
I spent 200 to 250 days a year with him for several years, where he was in our gym every day, and I was there pretty much all the time as well. And Melvin means a lot to me, and it's the spirit of what he did. He tried to inspire young men, and for me, if I can carry that on in even just a little way, I feel great about that.
One thing, and nothing pejorative, I don't mean it in a pejorative way, but it's difficult to start coaching because you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
It's an occupation where you learn as you go along, and you try to do the right things, and you use things that your coaches used on you, and you pick, this was good, this wasn't good, But what would you say, Coach, don't young coaches get today that they need to get faster?
I do think there's a lot of good young coaches out there. If I had to do it again, I would go and seek out great coaches and try to pick their brain. And that was one of the things. I got that advice from somebody early on, and I went down and met with Ray Slagle, who had coached at Worthington Christian for a long time. Jim Brown, who had coached at Lenawee Christian, and a down year for them was 19-1. They won all the time. And then I sought after like Paul Wayne, who was at Holgate. I watched our film. They beat us 74-24 my first year, and I
Didn't
watched.
sleep much that night.
I watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it, and just emulated it and got to know him. And he poured time into me, and Kevin Holmeyer, who was at Continental, and I sought after some of the best coaches around, and then just picked their brain and stole little pieces from them and made it my own.
Yeah. Well, you coach your legendary coaching career. You've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of kids to get off to a good start in their life and be successful. But we'll switch gears a little bit.
Yep.
Now you're CEO, one of the big bosses at Renewal, Andersen Windows. I see your stuff on Facebook all the time. It's very cool. Your windows are extraordinary, by the way. But you're doing a special project, and I want to get it right. Is Isaiah 117? Explain to the folks what you're doing there.
Yeah. So when we're just a small piece of that, we're donating windows and doors to the Isaiah 117 project, and essentially right now, if there's a situation where a child ends up needing to be removed from a home, they're going to downtown somewhere in an office building. They might get some food out of a vending machine and have to sleep against the wall and spend the night. They're trying to build a safe home. And Moline Builders and I know I saw Pew Heating and Air Conditioning, and a bunch of people are giving towards this, but it's a beautiful home so they can have a safe, loving environment. And while they're trying to find a foster care situation that's a better fit, they're able to take what really is one of the worst days of their life and make them a little more comfortable, make people feel loved, make the kids know that somebody cares about them, and give them, soft bed, soft
Right.
blankets, a pillow.
Right.
So some of those things, they're already going through a lot of trauma, and we want to make it just a little bit better. And we're just a little small piece of it, but we're absolutely thrilled to be part of it.
Well, it says a lot about you and your company at Renewal Windows by Andersen that you would be involved in that. And when will this house be up and functioning?
So we believe it's going to be sometime either mid-September or early October is what kind of their target date is for now. So,
What's the number one thing that people just on the technical side of this, Coach? What don't people understand about getting windows?
I think a lot of times people just look at the price tag and not the
Yeah.
longevity. And you can get something that's only going to last for a couple years or 10 years, 15 years. Finding a product, Andersen Windows has been around a long time, 120 years, but their whole thing is they think in terms of generations, and they want to build a window. At Renewal by Andersen, we want to build a window that's going to last a long, long time and not just be a short-term fix. And so there's a lot of value in buying quality with windows.
We'll put it out there, but people could still get you on the phone at Renewal Andersen Windows.
Yep.
Is that possible?
Give us a call. We'd love to help you out.
They'll get the legendary Coach on the line?
Sure, absolutely.
Coach, thanks so much for
Hey,
being with us.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Connection.